Silent moves, loud victories. Mastering the art of quiet success. Introduction: The power of silent progress. Let me ask you something. How much of your life's energy is being spent talking about what you're going to do, instead of actually doing it? We live in a world where every thought, every plan, and every tiny step can be broadcast instantly. Social media has made it easy to announce intentions before we've even taken the first step. But here's the thing: talk is cheap. And worse than that, it can be costly. Every time you speak about a plan too soon, you open the door for judgment, doubt, and unnecessary distraction. Real success often happens behind closed doors. The most powerful growth is invisible at first, just like seeds buried underground before they sprout. Think about nature. A tree doesn't announce it's growing. It doesn't scream for attention. It quietly builds its roots, gathers its strength, and when the time is right, it rises, strong, undeniable, and impossible to ignore. This is the principle of silent progress. Working without broadcasting. Building without explaining. Protecting your dreams from the noise of the world until they're ready to stand on their own. When you keep your moves quiet, you give yourself freedom. Freedom to fail without the world watching. Freedom to adjust without pressure. Freedom to move at your own pace. And when the results finally come, they speak louder than any announcement ever could. In this audiobook, we're going to explore this art. You'll learn why silence is a powerful weapon in a noisy world, how to protect your vision from premature exposure, and how to let your work speak for itself. You'll discover how to deal with doubters without saying a word, and how to develop the unshakable confidence that comes from knowing your results will handle the talking. This isn't about being secretive out of fear, it's about being strategic. Because sometimes the best way to make an impact is to stay silent until the moment you strike. Now, let's begin with the foundation, the law of quiet progress. Chapter 1: The Law of Quiet Progress. Silence is not weakness. Silence is not passivity. Silence, when used with intention, is pure power. The law of quiet progress is simple. Work hard in the shadows, and reveal your work only when it's ready to create maximum impact. Here's why this law matters. When you start a goal or a project, your energy is at its peak. You're excited, full of vision, and ready to go. But the moment you start telling people about it, especially before you've taken real action, you run into 3 problems. The illusion of accomplishment. Talking about your goals tricks your brain into feeling like you've already achieved something. You get a small hit of pride and validation just from the announcement. That dopamine rush can reduce your drive to actually follow through. Unwanted opinions. The moment you reveal a plan, you invite judgment. People may question your ability, your timing, your resources. Some will be skeptical, others outright discouraging. Even if you're strong-minded, that negativity can plant seeds of doubt. Added pressure. Suddenly, you're not just working for yourself, you're performing for an audience. Every setback feels heavier, every delay feels like failure in the eyes of others. But when you work quietly, you bypass all of this. You keep your energy intact. You stay free from unnecessary criticism. You give yourself the mental space to experiment, fail, learn, and grow without pressure. Think of great inventors, entrepreneurs, and artists throughout history. Most of their breakthroughs didn't happen on a public stage. They happened in garages, basements, studios, and private workspaces. The world only saw the end product, not the late nights, failed prototypes, or moments of self-doubt. Quiet progress allows you to focus on the one thing that truly matters, the work itself. Now, let's talk about momentum. Momentum is fragile. In the early stages of a project, it can be destroyed by something as simple as a dismissive comment or a skeptical look from someone you respect. Keeping your plans close to your chest protects that momentum until it's strong enough to withstand outside forces. But there's another reason to embrace the law of quiet progress. It gives you the element of surprise. In a world where everyone is broadcasting every move, Being unpredictable becomes an advantage. When you suddenly reveal a finished product, a complete transformation, or a massive achievement, you catch people off guard. That shock factor amplifies your impact. Let me give you a scenario. Imagine two people start working toward a big goal, say, writing a book. The first person announces it on social media. Big news, I'm writing my first book. Can't wait for you all to see it. The likes and comments pour in. Friends congratulate them. They feel great, for now. But over time, they face delays. People keep asking, when's the book coming out? The pressure mounts. The excitement fades. The second person says nothing. They quietly write, edit, and refine. No pressure. No questions. When they finally announce it, the book is already finished, polished, and ready to launch. The announcement isn't a promise, it's a delivery. Which one do you think leaves a stronger impression? Quiet progress isn't about hiding forever, it's about timing. The right reveal, at the right moment, can turn a personal win into a public triumph. Of course, there's a challenge here. We're wired to share. It feels good to tell people about our plans. It makes us feel connected and accountable. But if you truly want to master this law, you need to learn a new kind of discipline, the discipline of silence. When you feel the urge to share a plan, pause. Ask yourself, is this ready to be seen? Will talking about it help me or hurt my momentum? If the answer is anything less than a strong yes, keep it to yourself. Here's the truth. People remember results, not promises. They remember victories, not announcements. And the sweetest victories are the ones that need no explanation. So as you begin this journey into mastering quiet success, remember this first law: progress in silence, unveil in strength. Let the world wonder what you're building. Let them see the results, not the process. In the chapters ahead, we'll go deeper into how to protect your vision, how to build unshakable focus, and how to let your work speak for itself in ways words never could. Your greatest moves are often the ones no one sees coming. And when you finally make them, the noise you'll create will be impossible to ignore. Chapter 2. Guarding Your Vision. Every great achievement begins as a vision, an image in your mind of something that does not yet exist. It's delicate at first, like a small flame in the wind. If you protect it, feed it, and shield it from harm, it can grow into a blazing fire that lights up the world. But if you expose it too soon, before it's ready, the slightest breeze can put it out. Guarding your vision means treating it as sacred. It's not for everyone to see, and it's certainly not for everyone to comment on. In the early stages, your vision is too fragile to survive in a world full of doubt, jealousy, and distraction. Let's be clear, this isn't about living in fear. It's about being strategic with who you allow into your creative space. Not everyone deserves to see your blueprint. Not everyone is qualified to speak into your dream. And if you truly value what you're building, you'll learn the discipline of selective sharing. Think about it like this. If you were building a house, would you invite strangers to walk through while it's just a skeleton of wood and nails? Would you let them wander in, criticize the unfinished walls, and question whether the design makes sense? Of course not. You'd wait until the structure is solid, the paint is dry, and the home is ready to welcome guests. Your vision deserves the same protection. Why some people won't understand your vision? You must accept a hard truth. Most people won't see what you see. They can't. Your vision was given to you, not to them. It exists in your mind, shaped by your experiences, desires, and beliefs. Expecting others to fully understand it from the beginning is unrealistic. In fact, many people will look at your vision through the lens of their own limitations. They'll measure your dream against what they believe is possible for themselves, not for you. That's why you'll hear things like, "That's too risky. Why don't you just stick to what you know?" People don't really do that. But here's the thing. You're not here to live within their limits. You're here to push your own. And to do that, you have to keep your vision safe from the people who can't, or won't, believe in it. The danger of premature exposure. One of the quickest ways to kill momentum is to share your idea too early. When you talk about your plans before you've made significant progress, you invite two dangers. External doubt. Even well-meaning people can plant seeds of uncertainty. A raised eyebrow, a hesitant, are you sure? These moments can echo in your mind long after the conversation ends. Internal complacency. Just like we discussed in Chapter 1, announcing your vision can trick your brain into feeling you've already achieved something. The applause from friends can reduce the hunger to keep pushing forward. That's why the most successful creators, leaders, and innovators often operate quietly for months, or even years, before sharing their work. They understand that a protected vision is a growing vision. Choosing the right people to share with. Now, I'm not suggesting you go through your entire journey alone. Having support is important, but it must be the right support. When deciding who to trust with your vision, ask yourself, have they achieved something significant themselves? Do they genuinely want to see me succeed? Can they keep my information private? Will their feedback help me grow, or simply make me doubt myself? You want people who will encourage you, challenge you constructively, and remind you of your potential when you forget it. These people are rare. Treasure them. And remember, the fewer people you tell, the less noise you'll have to deal with. Learning from history's quiet builders. History is full of examples of people who guarded their vision until the moment was right. Take Steve Jobs and the first iPhone. In the years before its release, the project was shrouded in secrecy. Only a small, trusted team knew the full scope of what was being built. Why? Because Jobs understood the importance of unveiling a finished, polished product without interference from outsiders. Or consider authors who write entire manuscripts in private before ever mentioning their work. They know that their creative energy must go into writing, not defending their ideas to skeptics. The common thread is clear. Protect your vision until it's strong enough to stand in the open. Practical ways to guard your vision. Here are a few strategies to help you keep your vision safe while it grows. Keep a private journal. Instead of telling people your plans, write them down. Document your ideas, your progress, and your challenges. This keeps your vision alive without putting it in the public eye. Set clear boundaries. If someone asks about your plans and you're not ready to share, have a polite but firm response ready. Something like, I'm working on a few things right now, and I'll share more when the time's right. Limit your social media sharing. Resist the urge to post updates about your project until it's truly ready. This protects your momentum and keeps the element of surprise intact. Build in layers. Focus on small, private milestones. Celebrate them quietly, and only share the bigger wins once you've hit major goals. The power of mystery. Guarding your vision doesn't just protect you, it can also create intrigue. In a world where everyone overshares, being selective makes people curious. They start to wonder what you're up to, and when you finally reveal your work, the impact is greater because of the mystery surrounding it. Think about the artists who disappear for years, only to come back with a masterpiece. Or the entrepreneur who works quietly, then suddenly launches a product that changes the game. That shock factor can be a powerful ally. Final thought for this chapter. Your vision is like a seed. You don't plant it in the open where anyone can trample it. You place it deep in the soil, where it's protected from the elements. You water it. You nurture it. And only when it's strong enough to break through the surface do you let the world see it. In the same way, protect your dream from the world's early judgment. Let it grow roots in silence. The deeper the roots, the taller it will grow when it finally breaks the surface. Remember, your vision is yours for a reason. Guard it fiercely, build it quietly, and reveal it only when it's ready to inspire. Chapter 3. The Psychology of Working in Silence. Silence is not just the absence of noise, it's the presence of clarity. When you strip away the voices, the opinions, the constant stream of outside chatter, something powerful begins to happen inside your mind. You create the mental space needed for deep, uninterrupted focus. Working in silence is not simply a productivity hack. It's a psychological shift, a rewiring of how your brain processes your goals, your progress, and your confidence. And the impact it can have on your results is enormous. The mental freedom of silence. Most people don't realize how much mental bandwidth is eaten up by outside noise. Every conversation about your work, every comment from a friend, every post you see online, it all leaves traces in your mind. And those traces can pull you in 100 different directions. When you work in silence, you cut off a major source of distraction. You no longer waste mental energy explaining yourself, defending your choices, or trying to impress others with early results. Instead, that energy stays where it belongs, fueling your actual work. There's a mental relief that comes with knowing you don't have to justify every decision to an audience. You can experiment, make mistakes, and change direction without worrying about what others will think. That kind of freedom is rare, and it's one of the most powerful advantages of working quietly. Silence creates deep focus. There's a difference between working and deep working. Shallow work is when you're doing tasks but you're half distracted, checking your phone, thinking about other things, maybe even talking to people about unrelated matters. Deep work, on the other hand, is when you're fully immersed in the task. Your mind is locked in, the world fades away, and time almost disappears. Silence is the gateway to deep work. Without the constant interruptions of explaining your progress or updating others, your brain can sink into that flow state where real breakthroughs happen. In this state, you not only work faster, but the quality of your work skyrockets. You see connections you wouldn't see otherwise. You solve problems with clarity. You create work that is sharper, more original, and more refined. Reducing psychological pressure. There's another layer to the psychology of silence, reduced performance pressure. When you share your plans too early, you create an unspoken contract with the people you told. They're watching now. They're expecting updates. And whether you like it or not, you feel that pressure. Pressure can be a motivator, yes, but it can also be a killer of creativity. It can make you take fewer risks, avoid experiments, and play it safe just to make sure you don't fail in front of others. When you work in silence, that pressure is gone. You're free to follow your curiosity. You can try unconventional ideas without worrying about how you'll explain them if they fail. You can pivot without feeling like you've let anyone down. In other words, you can be bold in the privacy of your own process. Silence builds intrinsic motivation. There are two kinds of motivation: extrinsic and intrinsic. Extrinsic motivation is driven by external rewards, praise, recognition, money, applause. Intrinsic motivation comes from within, the satisfaction of the work itself, the joy of learning, the pride in your own growth. When you work publicly, it's easy to fall into the trap of chasing extrinsic motivation. You start caring more about how your work looks to others than how it feels to you. But when you work in silence, you remove the audience. There's no one to impress, no one to validate you. And when that happens, you naturally start working for the pure satisfaction of building something meaningful. Intrinsic motivation is far more sustainable. External rewards can fade, but the internal drive to create, improve, and grow is what will carry you through the long, quiet hours of real work. Protecting mental energy from negativity. Let's face it, people have opinions. And not all of them are kind. When you put your work in front of people too early, you open the door for criticism that can derail you before you're ready to handle it. Even a single negative comment can stick in your mind like a splinter, distracting you from what matters. Silence protects you from that early negativity. It creates a psychological barrier between you and the world's doubts. You get to decide when, and if, you're ready for feedback. This doesn't mean you should avoid constructive criticism forever. It means you should seek it on your terms, from people you trust, at a stage where your vision is strong enough to survive the scrutiny. Silence encourages self-trust. Working quietly forces you to rely on your own judgment. When you're not constantly checking in with others for approval, you learn to trust your instincts. You start making decisions based on what feels right to you, not on what will please your audience. This self-trust is powerful. It's the foundation of leadership, creativity, and confidence. Because when you believe in your own vision, you stop needing constant reassurance, and that independence will set you apart from the majority who can't move without permission. The emotional reward of the reveal. Here's one of the most satisfying parts of working in silence: the reveal. Imagine quietly working for months, maybe even years, without anyone knowing the full extent of what you're building. And then, one day, you unveil it. Not a half-formed idea. Not a promise. A finished, polished achievement. The impact is amplified because no one saw it coming. People are surprised, impressed, even inspired. And you get the deep private satisfaction of knowing that every step, every struggle, every small victory happened without the world watching. It's not just about impressing others, it's about honoring the process. The reveal is your victory lap. Practical tips for cultivating silence in your work. Set clear work boundaries. Decide when and where you will work without interruption. This might mean turning off notifications, closing your door, or blocking out deep work hours in your calendar. Create a personal progress system. Track your own milestones privately. This keeps you motivated without the need for public validation. Delay announcements. Resist the urge to share updates until you've reached a stage you're truly proud of. Build quiet rituals. Start your work sessions with habits that signal it's time for focus, like making tea, turning on instrumental music, or lighting a candle. Closing thought for this chapter. The psychology of working in silence is about more than just productivity. It's about creating the mental conditions where your best work can thrive. Silence removes the noise. It removes the pressure. It removes the need to perform for others. And in that quiet space, you find something priceless: clarity, focus, and the deep joy of creating for its own sake. Remember this: noise demands attention, but silence demands respect. When you master the art of working in silence, your results will speak so loudly that the world won't just notice, it will listen. Chapter 4. Silence as a Strategy. Silence is often misunderstood. Many people think it's just about being shy, passive, or avoiding conflict. But in reality, silence, when used intentionally, is one of the most effective strategies you can deploy in your career, your business, and your personal life. It's not just the absence of sound, it's a calculated move. A way to keep the advantage on your side. A way to control the flow of information, the pace of your actions, and even the perception others have of you. When you learn to use silence as a strategy, you stop reacting to the noise of the world and start moving with deliberate precision. You become unpredictable. And in a world where everyone is constantly broadcasting, unpredictability is a superpower. Why silence works as a strategy. In competitive environments, whether it's the workplace, entrepreneurship, sports, or even personal relationships, information is power. The more other people know about your plans, your thinking, and your intentions, the more they can influence, copy, or counter them. Silence keeps your cards close to your chest. It allows you to move without tipping off the competition. It gives you the element of surprise. Think about chess. The best players don't announce their strategy before making their moves. They quietly position their pieces, anticipating the other player's reactions, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The same principle applies in real life. Silence in business. In business, silence can be the difference between being a follower and being a market leader. The most successful companies often develop their products or strategies behind closed doors. They don't leak every detail to the public. They wait until their launch is ready to dominate attention. This is why companies like Apple are masters of creating hype. They say nothing until the reveal, and then they reveal everything at once, creating maximum impact. For entrepreneurs, keeping certain moves private can protect you from copycats, prevent unnecessary skepticism, and give you more freedom to adjust before committing publicly. Even in day-to-day work environments, silence is a form of leverage. If you're negotiating, the ability to stay quiet and let the other side talk often gives you the upper hand. People are uncomfortable with silence, and in their rush to fill it, they often reveal valuable information or concede ground. Silence in personal growth. On a personal level, silence can help you grow faster than you ever thought possible, because it frees you from external interference. When you decide to work on yourself, whether it's improving your health, developing a skill, or changing your habits, it's tempting to tell people for accountability. But sometimes, those announcements invite doubt, pressure, or even subtle sabotage from people who feel threatened by your growth. By keeping your self-improvement plans private, you remove the need to explain yourself. You can change at your own pace. And when the results become visible, they speak for themselves. Silence in relationships. In relationships, both personal and professional, silence can be a powerful way to avoid unnecessary conflict and gain clarity. Not every comment deserves a reaction. Not every challenge requires an immediate defense. Sometimes, the best way to protect your peace is to simply say nothing. This doesn't mean suppressing your feelings or avoiding honest conversations. It means choosing your words carefully, speaking only when it moves the situation forward, and allowing your actions to do most of the talking. The element of surprise. One of the biggest advantages of using silence strategically is the surprise factor. When people can't predict your moves, they can't prepare for them. You have the ability to arrive unexpectedly with results that no one saw coming. This can be incredibly powerful in both competition and collaboration. Think about an athlete who trains in secret, away from the public eye, then shows up to a competition in the best shape of their life. Or an artist who quietly works on a project for years before releasing a masterpiece that changes their career overnight. The shock of unexpected success creates a ripple effect. People talk about it, respect it, and remember it. Avoiding the trap of overexposure. In the age of constant sharing, overexposure is a real danger. When you constantly update people on your every move, you dilute the impact of your actual results. People become used to hearing about what you're doing, and by the time you achieve something big, it no longer feels like a surprise. It feels like a continuation of what they've already heard. Strategic silence keeps your moves fresh. It makes every reveal a big reveal. When to break the silence. Now, let's be clear. Silence is not about never speaking. It's about choosing when to speak for maximum effect. Break your silence when you have results that are ready to be showcased. Sharing information will directly help you achieve your goal. You need to rally support from the right people. Speaking up will change the outcome in your favor. The key is that speaking becomes a tool, not a habit. You speak with purpose, not out of compulsion. Practical ways to apply silence strategically. Set information boundaries. Decide in advance what you will and won't share about your projects, goals, or life. Pause before responding. Whether in meetings, negotiations, or arguments, take a few seconds before replying. This makes you appear more thoughtful and prevents emotional reactions. Limit public updates. Avoid constant, in-progress announcements. Wait until you have something substantial to reveal. Control the timing of your reveal. Align your announcements with moments where they will have the greatest impact. Observe more than you speak. Use silence to gather information. People reveal more when you listen quietly than when you dominate the conversation. The confidence that comes with strategic silence. There's an undeniable confidence in someone who doesn't feel the need to broadcast their every move. It sends a signal. I'm focused on the work, not the noise. People notice when you don't play the same game as everyone else. They become curious. They start to wonder what you're up to. And when you finally do reveal your work, they pay closer attention, because you've built a reputation for delivering results, not just promises. This is why silence, used deliberately, is a competitive advantage. It's not just about avoiding distraction, it's about commanding respect without asking for it. Closing thought for this chapter. When used well, silence is not emptiness, it's a canvas. It's the space you create to work, think, and prepare without interruption. It's the shield that protects your vision from unnecessary interference. And it's the sword you use when the time comes to strike with impact. So, don't think of silence as something passive. Think of it as an active, intentional move, a strategic weapon in a noisy world. Master it, and you'll find yourself achieving more, with less resistance, and with a level of control that most people never experience. In the next chapter, we'll explore the energy leak of oversharing, and why talking too much about your goals can quietly drain the very power you need to achieve them. Chapter 5. The energy leak of oversharing. Every goal you set, every dream you nurture, every plan you quietly map out, it all requires energy. Not just physical energy, but mental and emotional energy. The kind of energy that fuels discipline, keeps you focused, and pushes you forward when things get tough. But here's something most people don't realize. One of the biggest drains on that energy isn't failure. It's oversharing. The moment you talk too much about what you're doing, especially before it's done, you start losing power. The strength that should be going into action gets scattered in conversation. The focus that should be locked onto your work gets diluted by the reactions of others. And over time, this leak can quietly drain the momentum from even your most ambitious goals. The illusion of progress. Oversharing often feels good in the moment. You announce your plan, people cheer you on, and you feel a burst of pride. But here's the problem. That little boost of validation tricks your brain. Psychologists call it the intention-behavior gap. When you tell people about your intentions, your brain releases dopamine, the same chemical you get from actual achievement. Your mind thinks you've made progress, even though you haven't done the work yet. This can be dangerous. Instead of staying hungry to prove yourself, you feel partially satisfied. The urgency fades. And without realizing it, you slow down. It's like eating a snack before dinner. It takes the edge off your appetite, and when it's time for the real meal, you don't have the same hunger. Oversharing is that snack, and your goal is the dinner you never finish. Inviting distraction. When you tell too many people about your plans, you open the door to distractions disguised as interest. Suddenly, friends are asking, "How's that project going?" Colleagues want updates. Family members offer unsolicited advice. You find yourself spending more time talking about what you're doing than actually doing it. And each of those conversations pulls your mind away from the deep focus your work needs. It's like trying to climb a mountain while stopping every 5 minutes to explain the view. The climb gets longer, harder, and more exhausting, not because the mountain grew taller, but because you keep stopping. The weight of expectations. Oversharing also creates a silent burden, the expectations of others. When you keep your goals to yourself, you're accountable only to you. But once you share them publicly, you've essentially invited an audience to watch your performance. Every delay becomes noticeable. Every pivot becomes something you have to explain. Some people thrive under that kind of public accountability, but for most, it adds unnecessary stress. Instead of focusing on building, you focus on avoiding embarrassment. And that fear of looking bad can lead you to take safer, smaller steps instead of bold, necessary ones. The risk of losing control over your vision. Here's another hidden danger of oversharing. The more people you tell, the more you open your vision to outside influence. Even if you're confident, hearing too many opinions can warp your thinking. A small comment can plant seeds of doubt. A question you weren't prepared for can make you second-guess yourself. And over time, your clear vision can become cloudy, not because it was flawed, but because it's been pulled in too many directions. It's like trying to paint a picture while 10 different people stand behind you, suggesting colors and brushstrokes. Eventually, the painting stops looking like your original idea, and worse, you might not even like the final result. Protecting your energy. If oversharing drains your energy, the solution is simple. Guard your plans until they're strong enough to stand on their own. Think of your goal as a fire you're trying to build. In the early stages, it's just a small flame. If you keep opening the door to show it off, you let in drafts that can snuff it out. But if you keep the door closed, protect it from the wind, and feed it consistently, it grows into a roaring fire, one that no amount of outside air can put out. Protecting your energy means saying less, listening more, and putting the majority of your effort into the work, not the announcement. Strategic sharing versus oversharing. Now, this doesn't mean you should never share your goals. There's a difference between strategic sharing and oversharing. Strategic sharing is when you reveal information only to people who can directly support, guide, or help you execute your vision. It's deliberate and purposeful. Oversharing is when you tell people for the sake of attention, validation, or casual conversation. It's reactive and impulsive. Before you share, ask yourself, will telling this person move my goal forward? Do I trust them to respect my vision and my process? Am I sharing to build, or just to feel good in the moment? If your answer doesn't clearly point to building, it's better to hold back. The power of mystery. There's another hidden benefit to not oversharing: mystery. When people don't know exactly what you're doing, their curiosity grows. They start to wonder, to speculate, to pay closer attention. And when you finally reveal your work, the impact is greater because it comes with the surprise factor. Mystery creates intrigue. It also creates freedom. Freedom to experiment, to make mistakes, and to change course without anyone knowing. Practical ways to avoid the energy leak. Have a default response. When people ask about your goals, have a prepared, vague answer like, "I'm working on a few things right now. I'll share more when the time's right." Limit social updates. Resist the urge to post every step of your process online. Save the updates for when you have something truly worth showing. Track progress privately. Use a journal, app, or document to celebrate your wins and track milestones without broadcasting them. Choose 1 or 2 trusted people. If you need feedback or accountability, share your goals with only a small, carefully chosen group who understand and support you. Remind yourself why you started. When you feel the urge to talk about your plans, redirect that energy into action. Ask yourself, will talking about this bring me closer to my goal, or is doing the work the better move right now? Closing thought for this chapter. Oversharing is one of the most subtle yet powerful killers of momentum. It feels harmless, sometimes even helpful, but it can slowly bleed away the drive, focus, and clarity you need to succeed. Remember, energy is your most valuable currency when pursuing a goal. Spend it on action, not on conversation. Let your results speak, and let the surprise of your success be the loudest announcement you ever make. In the next chapter, we'll dive into building in the shadows, how to create excellence out of sight, and why some of the greatest work in history happened far from the public eye. Chapter 6. Building in the Shadows. There's a powerful magic in building away from the spotlight. When you work in the shadows, you create an environment where your creativity can flourish without interruption. You're free to experiment, to fail, to learn, and to grow, without the weight of external judgment pressing down on you. Some of the greatest innovations and masterpieces in history were crafted far from public view, away from the noise, distraction, and expectation of an audience. The shadows give you the gift of focus and freedom. Why the shadows are the perfect place to build. When you build publicly, every step can be scrutinized, misunderstood, or criticized. Even the smallest misstep becomes fodder for gossip or doubt. The pressure to perform for others can shift your focus from creating to defending. In the shadows, none of that exists. there's no one watching but you. This allows you to focus deeply on the work itself, not on managing impressions or soothing skeptics. Think of a sculptor in a quiet studio. They don't carve their statue in front of a crowd. They chip away in solitude, refining their vision until it emerges perfectly formed. Then, when it's ready, the masterpiece is unveiled to awe and applause. The freedom to fail. One of the most underrated advantages of building in the shadows is the freedom to fail. Failure is not the enemy of success, it's a necessary step on the path. But failure can be brutal when it's public. It can hurt your reputation, shake your confidence, and make you vulnerable to criticism. When you build privately, you can fail without the fear of public exposure. You can try bold ideas, make mistakes, and pivot quickly. This accelerates your learning and ultimately leads to stronger, more resilient results. Remember, every breakthrough you admire was likely preceded by countless private failures. Creating without distraction. Distractions come in many forms: notifications, meetings, social obligations, unsolicited advice. When you build publicly, you invite all of these into your process. Working in the shadows allows you to shut out the noise. You set your own rhythm. You decide when to focus and when to rest. This autonomy is critical because deep, meaningful work requires uninterrupted stretches of time. Creativity isn't something you can force on demand. It needs space to breathe. Protecting your intellectual property. In business and creative work, protecting your ideas is essential. Sharing too early can lead to others copying or stealing your concept before you have a chance to establish yourself. Building in the shadows helps you safeguard your intellectual property until you have something concrete to share. This can be the difference between being a trendsetter and a follower. Avoiding the approval trap. Many people seek approval and validation by sharing their work early. They want to hear, "That's great," or "You're on the right track." But approval is a double-edged sword. It can make you dependent on external praise and shift your focus from genuine creation to pleasing others. When you build in the shadows, you focus on your own standards. You learn to trust your internal compass, which is far more reliable than any external validation. How to build in the shadows. Practical steps. Create a private workspace. Whether it's a physical space like a home office or a mental space you cultivate through habits, protect your work zone from interruptions and distractions. Set clear goals and deadlines. Define your milestones privately. This keeps you accountable to yourself, not to an audience. Limit social media and public updates. Resist the urge to announce progress. Save your updates for when you have something substantial to show. Use private journals and logs. Document your ideas and progress privately. Reflect regularly without the pressure of sharing. Celebrate small wins in private. Take time to appreciate your progress quietly. This builds motivation without the need for external approval. Stories of building in the shadows. Look at J.K. Rowling. Before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon, she wrote the first book largely in private, often in cafes, quietly crafting her world while her personal life was far from easy. She didn't announce her plans to millions before she had a finished manuscript. Consider Elon Musk. Much of the early work on Tesla and SpaceX happened behind closed doors. Public announcements were carefully timed, only after key milestones had been reached. These examples show us that building in the shadows is not a sign of hiding. It's a deliberate strategy that powerful creators use to protect their work and maximize impact. The psychological benefits. Building in the shadows also reduces anxiety and burnout. When you don't have to perform for an audience, you experience less pressure to be perfect at every step. This leads to a healthier creative process and helps sustain long-term motivation. Silence in your work becomes a sanctuary, a place where you can focus on mastery instead of approval. When to step out of the shadows. Of course, building in the shadows isn't about hiding forever. There will come a time to step into the light. The key is to choose the moment wisely, When your work is strong, your vision clear, and your confidence unshakable. When you emerge from the shadows, your work will shine brighter precisely because it was nurtured in silence. Closing thought for this chapter. Building in the shadows is one of the most underrated paths to success. It requires patience, discipline, and trust in the process. But the rewards are enormous: freedom to create, the power to fail safely, and the strength to reveal your work when it's truly ready. If you want to master quiet success, learn to love the shadows. Let them be your workshop, your testing ground, and your sanctuary. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to let results do the talking, and why showing up with undeniable achievements is the most powerful way to win respect and influence. Chapter 7. Let results do the talking. In a world where words are cheap and promises are everywhere, results are the ultimate currency. They speak louder than any explanation, louder than any defense, and louder than any boast. When you let your results do the talking, you bypass doubt, silence critics, and build lasting credibility that no amount of self-promotion can match. This chapter is about shifting your focus from explaining to executing, from telling the story of your work to showing the impact of your work. Why results matter more than words. Words are easy to say. Anyone can make a claim. But results require effort, consistency, and commitment. They are proof in the tangible world that you did what you said you would do. Think about it. How many times have you heard someone talk about their big plans, only for those plans to never materialize? Words without follow-through quickly lose power. On the other hand, when you show up with undeniable results, people listen. They respect your dedication, your skill, and your ability to deliver. That respect opens doors that words alone can never unlock. The pitfall of over-explaining. When you focus on talking instead of doing, you risk getting trapped in an endless loop of explanation and justification. You explain why you haven't hit your goal yet. You defend your choices. You reassure doubters. And each conversation drains mental energy you could have spent on progress. Over-explaining also signals insecurity. If you had the results, you wouldn't need to explain yourself. People pick up on that subtle cue, confidence or lack thereof, and it shapes how they perceive you. How to let your results speak. The key to letting your results do the talking is to prioritize action over announcements. Instead of telling people about what you're planning to do, focus on doing it. Instead of defending your approach, show the outcomes it produces. When you reach a milestone, whether it's launching a product, completing a project, or hitting a personal goal, let that achievement be your message. The power of demonstration. Demonstration is more persuasive than explanation. Imagine two entrepreneurs. One talks constantly about his business ideas, sharing every detail and seeking approval. The other quietly builds her company, focusing on customer satisfaction and growth. Which one do you think investors, partners, and customers will trust more? The one with results. Demonstration builds trust because it removes uncertainty. When you deliver, people no longer have to take your word for it. They see the proof with their own eyes. Building credibility over time. Letting results do the talking isn't about a single big moment. It's about consistency. Small wins add up. When you consistently produce results, you build a track record of reliability. This track record becomes your reputation, and reputation is a powerful form of influence. People want to align themselves with those who deliver. They want to invest time, energy, and resources in people who have shown they can produce. Handling criticism with results. Criticism is inevitable. No matter how well you do, some people will doubt or discredit your work. But when you have results on your side, criticism loses its power. You don't need to argue. Your work speaks for itself. Let your accomplishments be your response. When your results are undeniable, critics become irrelevant or silent. The confidence boost from results. There's also a psychological benefit. When you see your own progress, your confidence grows. You begin to believe in your ability to deliver, which fuels more action and more results, a positive feedback loop. This confidence is visible to others. People sense it, and it further builds your influence and respect. Practical tips for letting results do the talking. Set clear, measurable goals. Define what success looks like in concrete terms so you know when you've achieved it. Focus on execution. Prioritize daily actions that move you closer to your goals instead of spending time explaining plans. Document your progress. Keep a private record of your wins, setbacks, and learnings to remind yourself of your growth. Share results strategically. When appropriate, share your achievements with your audience, clients, or peers, but do it with humility and facts, not hype. Use visual proof. Wherever possible, show evidence of your results, screenshots, testimonials, numbers, before and after examples. The long game of success. Remember, real success rarely happens overnight. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Results may start small and incremental, but over time, they compound into significant achievements. Don't get discouraged if the world doesn't immediately notice your efforts. Stay committed to producing results. The impact will come. Final thought for this chapter. Let your work be your voice. When you prioritize results over words, you command respect effortlessly. You build a legacy based on achievement, not chatter. In a noisy world, results are the loudest signal you can send. Make your success speak so clearly that it drowns out the noise. Chapter 8. The Strength of Quiet Consistency. In a world obsessed with instant results and flashy announcements, quiet consistency is often overlooked. Yet, it is the silent, steady march toward your goals that separates fleeting success from lasting achievement. Loud bursts of activity might grab attention for a moment, but they rarely build a foundation strong enough to stand the test of time. Consistency, the patient, unwavering commitment to progress, creates the kind of momentum that no hype can match. This chapter is about understanding the power of showing up every day, working steadily and silently, and why that approach will win in the long run. Why consistency matters more than intensity. Many people believe that success requires massive, dramatic efforts, big launches, intense sprints, and flashy moves. But those who know better understand that the journey is a marathon, not a sprint. Quiet consistency is about pacing yourself and maintaining effort, even when motivation dips or results seem slow. It's the commitment to putting in the work day after day, no matter how small the steps may seem. Why does consistency beat intensity? Because short bursts of energy fade. When you work intensely for a brief period and then burn out, you lose progress. Consistent effort, even if moderate, compounds over time, creating unstoppable growth. The compound effect of small actions. Consistency leverages a powerful principle: compound growth. Just like money multiplies through compound interest, small improvements compound to produce exponential results in your life. Imagine improving just 1% each day. It doesn't sound like much, but over weeks and months, those tiny gains add up to remarkable transformation. On the other hand, irregular bursts of activity followed by long periods of rest or distraction don't build this momentum. They keep you cycling through starts and stops instead of moving forward steadily. How quiet consistency builds trust and credibility. When you consistently deliver quality work, people notice, even if you're not shouting about it. Consistency builds trust. Others learn that they can rely on you, that you don't disappear when things get tough, and that you value your commitments. This credibility becomes a powerful asset. Whether it's in business, relationships, or personal growth, people are drawn to those who are dependable and persistent. Think about the people you respect most. Chances are, they aren't the ones making the loudest noise, but those who show up reliably and get the job done, day after day. The psychological power of routine. Quiet consistency often comes down to building effective routines. Routines create structure and reduce decision fatigue, making it easier to stay consistent even when motivation wanes. When you design your days with habits and rituals that support your goals, progress becomes automatic. The work doesn't feel like a burden because it's part of your daily rhythm. Routines create psychological safety too. They anchor you during chaotic or stressful times, providing stability that fuels persistence. Avoiding the burnout trap. One major reason loud bursts of activity fail is burnout. When you push too hard without pacing yourself, exhaustion sets in, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Quiet consistency guards against this by encouraging sustainable effort. When you move steadily and rest when needed, you preserve your energy and maintain your capacity for long-term growth. Burnout isn't just about working too hard, it's about working without balance. Quiet consistency prioritizes that balance, ensuring you don't sacrifice health or well-being for short-term gains. Practical tips to cultivate quiet consistency. Set manageable goals. Break big ambitions into daily or weekly tasks that are achievable without overwhelming you. Develop keystone habits. Identify a few powerful habits that influence many areas of your life, such as morning routines, exercise, or focused work sessions. Use time blocks. Dedicate specific times each day to focused work, minimizing distractions during those periods. Track progress privately. Keep a simple journal or log to record your daily wins, helping you see your steady growth. Celebrate small wins. Acknowledge and reward your consistent efforts, no matter how minor they seem. The power of patience. Quiet consistency requires patience, a virtue that many struggle with in a culture of instant gratification. It's easy to feel discouraged when progress feels slow or invisible. But true growth is often happening beneath the surface, building the foundation for breakthroughs down the road. Remember, trees don't grow overnight. They push roots deep into the earth long before you see them shoot up. Your consistent work is like those roots, unseen but vital. Stories of quiet consistency in action. Look at authors who wrote hundreds of pages before ever publishing, inventors who experimented quietly for years before a breakthrough, or athletes who trained daily without fanfare. Their success wasn't a sudden leap, it was the result of steady effort that accumulated over time. Closing thought for this chapter. The loudest noise rarely lasts. But quiet consistency? That's a force that builds empires, changes lives, and transforms dreams into reality. Make the decision today to embrace the power of steady, silent progress. Let your actions be reliable, your work relentless, and your growth unstoppable. In the next chapter, we'll explore the art of saying no, how protecting your time and focus by declining distractions is a key to mastering silent success. Chapter 9. The Art of Saying No. One of the most powerful tools in your arsenal for working in silence and winning in public is the ability to say no. It's a skill that often gets overlooked, yet it's essential for protecting your focus, energy, and ultimately, your success. Saying no is not about being negative or uncooperative. It's about making deliberate choices, setting boundaries that guard your time and your vision so you can invest your energy where it truly matters. In this chapter, we'll explore why saying no is crucial, how to do it gracefully, and how it can become your secret weapon in a noisy world full of distractions and demands. Why saying no matters. Every yes you say is a choice to give your time, attention, and energy to something or someone. When you say yes to things that don't align with your goals, you dilute your focus and drain your resources. The reality is, time and energy are finite. You can't do everything, no matter how motivated or driven you are. Saying no is about acknowledging this limitation and prioritizing what truly deserves your commitment. Successful people understand that their power often lies not just in what they do, but in what they deliberately choose not to do. The cost of not saying no. When you don't say no, you open the door to overwhelm, distraction, and burnout. You might find yourself agreeing to meetings that don't move the needle, social events that sap your energy, or projects that aren't aligned with your vision. Each unnecessary yes creates clutter in your schedule and noise in your mind. Over time, this clutter builds up, making it harder to focus on the work that matters. Your progress slows, your motivation dips, and your silence turns into noise as you scramble to keep up with obligations. Saying no is saying yes to your priorities. When you say no to distractions and low-value commitments, you're saying yes to your priorities. This shift in mindset transforms saying no from a negative act into a positive, empowering choice. It's a way to protect your goals, honor your time, and keep your energy focused on what will move you forward. Saying no creates space to think, create, and execute without interruption. How to say no gracefully. Saying no doesn't mean burning bridges or offending people. In fact, when done thoughtfully, it can increase respect and improve your relationships. Here are some tips for saying no with grace. Be clear and direct. Don't waffle or over-explain. A simple, honest no is often the best approach. Offer alternatives when possible. If you can't commit but want to help, suggest someone else or another time. Express gratitude. Thank the person for thinking of you or for the opportunity, even if you decline. Stay firm. Don't let guilt or pressure sway you. Remember, your no is about protecting your capacity to deliver on your priorities. Building the muscle to say no. Like any skill, saying no gets easier with practice. Start small. Decline minor requests or invitations that don't align with your goals. Notice how it feels to protect your time and focus. Over time, you'll build confidence and clarity around your boundaries. This clarity becomes a source of strength, helping you navigate bigger decisions without hesitation. The power of boundaries. Boundaries are the physical and psychological limits you set to protect your work and well-being. By establishing clear boundaries, such as designated work hours, distraction-free zones, or limits on social media use, you reinforce your commitment to silent success. Boundaries keep you accountable to yourself and create the conditions for deep, focused work. Saying no to yourself. One of the toughest yet most important forms of saying no is saying no to your own impulses and distractions. Whether it's the temptation to check your phone, procrastinate, or indulge in instant gratification, resisting these urges is crucial to maintaining momentum. Developing self-discipline is about training yourself to say no to short-term pleasures in service of long-term goals. Real-life examples of saying no. Consider Warren Buffett, who famously advises to say no to almost everything. His focus on a few key investments has been the foundation of his legendary success. Or Oprah Winfrey, who turned down numerous projects and opportunities that didn't align with her vision, allowing her to build an empire centered on authentic influence. These examples show that saying no isn't about limitation, it's about strategic freedom. The freedom that comes with saying no. When you master the art of saying no, you gain something invaluable. Freedom. Freedom from overcommitment. Freedom from distractions. Freedom to focus deeply and work quietly. This freedom enables you to create work that speaks loudly on your behalf and to win in the public eye on your terms. Closing thought for this chapter. Saying no is a declaration of your commitment to your vision. It's a daily practice that shapes your ability to work in silence and achieve meaningful success. As you move forward, remember, every no you give is a yes to something more important. Chapter 10. Finishing what you start. The power of silent execution. There is a simple truth that separates those who dream from those who achieve. Finishing what you start. In a world filled with distractions, interruptions, and endless possibilities, the ability to complete your projects, goals, and commitments quietly and consistently is the ultimate mark of discipline and strength. This chapter is about embracing silent execution, the steady, focused, and uncelebrated work of bringing your plans to completion, and understanding why finishing what you start is the true victory that wins respect, influence, and lasting success. Why finishing is more important than starting. It's easy to get excited about beginnings. The spark of a new idea, the rush of motivation, the promise of change, they all fuel a powerful burst of energy. But starting is only the first step. The real challenge, and the real value, lies in what comes next. the follow-through, the grinding days, the obstacles, and the quiet moments when no one is watching. Many people start with enthusiasm but never finish because finishing requires a deeper level of commitment and perseverance. It demands showing up when the novelty has worn off, when motivation wanes, and when distractions scream for your attention. Finishing what you start is what transforms intentions into realities. Silent execution, the unseen backbone of success. Silent execution is work done without fanfare. It's the countless hours spent refining, adjusting, and pushing through resistance. It's the grit to keep going when progress feels invisible. This kind of execution is rarely glamorous. It doesn't come with applause or immediate recognition. But it's the backbone of every meaningful success story. Think of it as the quiet engine powering the visible results. Without silent execution, even the best ideas remain just ideas. The power of completion. Completing a project or goal sends a powerful message to yourself and to the world. To yourself, it proves that you have the discipline and focus to follow through. It builds confidence and momentum, fueling your next endeavor. To the world, it demonstrates reliability and effectiveness. People begin to trust you not just because of what you say, but because of what you consistently deliver. Completion creates a foundation you can build on. It's the proof of your ability to turn dreams into tangible outcomes. Common obstacles to finishing. Understanding what prevents people from finishing can help you avoid those pitfalls. Perfectionism. Waiting for conditions to be perfect can stall progress indefinitely. Silent execution embraces progress over perfection. Distractions. The modern world is full of temptations that pull your attention away. Protect your focus with boundaries and routines. Fear of failure. Sometimes finishing means confronting the possibility of failure. Remember, finishing, even imperfectly, is progress. Loss of motivation. Motivation fluctuates. Commitment and discipline carry you through the low points. Strategies for silent execution. Break tasks into manageable steps. Large projects can feel overwhelming. Dividing them into smaller, actionable tasks makes progress steady and measurable. Set deadlines and milestones. Even if self-imposed, deadlines create accountability and help maintain momentum. Eliminate distractions. Create focused work environments where interruptions are minimized. Use visual progress trackers. Seeing your progress, even small steps, builds motivation. Build accountability systems. Whether through trusted peers, mentors, or self-checks, accountability keeps you honest. The role of patience and persistence. Silent execution demands patience. Results may not be immediate, and progress can be slow. Persistence means continuing the work day after day, despite challenges or lack of external recognition. It's about trusting the process and knowing that consistent effort compounds into meaningful achievement. Finishing builds momentum. Each completed goal fuels the next. Finishing builds momentum that makes future projects easier and faster to complete. When you finish what you start, you're not just crossing off tasks. You're training yourself to be a finisher, someone who gets things done no matter what. Stories of silent execution. Look at athletes who train daily without spotlight until they win championships. Or writers who spend years polishing manuscripts before publication. These stories share a common thread: relentless silent execution leading to eventual breakthrough. Final thought for this chapter. Finishing what you start is the ultimate proof of your focus, discipline, and perseverance. It's the silent execution behind every success story. As you move forward, remember that quiet persistence is more powerful than loud intentions. Work steadily, finish faithfully, and let your results speak volumes. Conclusion: your path to silent success. You've now journeyed through the principles of working quietly, protecting your vision, and winning in public through focused action. Remember, guard your goals with silence. Let results do the talking. Embrace quiet consistency. Master the art of saying no. Commit to finishing what you start. These aren't just ideas, they're strategies practiced by the world's most successful people. Now, it's your turn to apply them. To focus in silence, execute with discipline, and let your achievements shine loudly. Silent success isn't about hiding, it's about working with intention and revealing your greatness when the time is right. Conclusion: the quiet power within you. You've just uncovered a truth that many overlook in the rush of today's noisy world. True power comes from silent focus, steady action, and unwavering discipline. By guarding your vision, working quietly, and letting your results do the talking, you build a foundation that no distraction can shake. You've learned the strength of saying no, the importance of finishing what you start, and the deep momentum that quiet consistency creates. Remember, the loudest successes are often the ones crafted in silence, hidden, protected, nurtured, until they're ready to shine brilliantly for the world to see. Your journey doesn't end here. It begins. It's time to take these principles and apply them to your life, your goals, and your dreams. Work in silence. Win in public. Let your success tell the story only you can write. Call to action. If this audiobook has inspired you to embrace the power of focused, quiet success, I invite you to take the next step with me. Please like this video, so more people can discover these ideas and grow alongside you. Subscribe to the channel for more motivational content designed to help you level up your mindset, habits, and life every single day. And don't forget to share this with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes the greatest gift is helping others find their own silent strength. Thank you for listening. Keep building quietly, keep pushing forward, and remember, your best work is yet to come.